Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show in this special holiday episode. We thought for a change we would just do some viewer mail and some questions and some fun tips. We get tons and tons of viewer mail, and I always feel bad that we can't get to them all, but I do read them. My gal Meg Storm puts them all together for me, and there's so many that begin, I know you don't read this, but I do read it. I don't get to read every single one, but I read a lot of them. So I feel like I have a very good sense of where the audience is on any issue, and that's vital. It's vital to me. So anyway, let's just dig into it and see if there's anything in here that interests you. I will tell you overall, I selected some hard news questions, some lifestyle questions, some makeup questions, some child rearing questions. So we have covered the full gamut here. Excuse me. I'm still getting over this ridiculous cough. The cough's gone, like the cold is gone, but the voice, is the real voice ever going to come back? It's not 100%. You know, my mom's voice is deep. It's deeper than mine. I wonder if this is how it happened for her. One day it just shifted down lower into a lower gear. Hopefully not, because I'm not a very good singer, but I can carry a tune a little with my normal voice. Now I can't do anything. And the holidays are here, so I'm belting it out on my radio, usually when I'm driving my kids around. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. You know how much my family and I love our dogs. Yes, even sweet Strudwick. I cannot imagine life without them. They have a great life, but some dogs are not this lucky. And that's why I'm so glad to tell you about Delta Rescue, the largest no-kill, care-for-life animal sanctuary in the world. They have rescued thousands of dogs, plus cats and horses too. They provide all the animals with shelter, safety, and most of all, love. And they've been doing it for more than 45 years now. Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions to stay open, and giving can bring tax benefits to you, too. Speak with your estate planner about how you can grow your estate while helping animals in need, and check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more. We love our Thunder and Strudwick, but would like other dogs who need love to find it, too. Visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Okay, let's go. Here's an interesting question on immigration from Chris. He writes, or she writes, I thought we were done with that Maryland man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Last I heard, he was getting ready to be deported within a day or two to somewhere in Africa. I think the question on a lot of people's mind is, why is this administration having so many problems getting rid of the seemingly simple cases? How did this guy's deportation get so screwed up that we have to keep listening and going over it 6 months later? Chris, same. I have the same thoughts. He's like a bad penny, right? So it keeps popping back up. Like no matter what you do, you're still on the Kilmar Abrego Garcia story. Why does everybody know this man's name? Enough already with this guy. And I have to be honest, it's because in part due to incompetence. And I'll explain how. So first of all, that's the guy who had a withholding of removal order. Meaning he went through the immigration courts when they arrested him and accused him of being an MS-13 gang member. And he managed at that time to pitch his sob story to some bleeding heart on the immigration bench who gave him, instead of a deportation notice, gave him kind of a get out of jail free notice, which is called a withholding of removal, meaning you can deport him if you really want to, but you can't deport him to El Salvador because he's convinced me that there are terrible gangs there that mean to do him harm. And I think that was all bullshit, to be honest. I don't believe any of that. I think he just didn't want to go back to El Salvador. And even that notice is no longer good when the threat is removed. So if the gang that was after you has been disbanded 10 years later, you can be sent back to El Salvador. And by the way, that's exactly what happened. That's what happened. But anyway, so that's the first problem. Some bleeding heart on the immigration bench fell for his little act and gave him that order. Then, when we were deporting people under this first year of the Trump administration, he got rounded up appropriately. And the one place we couldn't send him to, we sent him to El Salvador because we struck that deal with Bukele to take these people and put them in this prison. And it wasn't that he wasn't deportable. He was deportable, but just not to there. And then the administration made the mistake of admitting they had made that mistake, which, it's not great to say in court, whoops, we made a mistake. Would have been better to come up with an argument. That's kind of what lawyers do. But they thought of that too late. They were already on record as admitting it was a mistake, turned into a big national controversy. And then they came up with criminal charges to slap him with while they tried to save face and bringing him back to the United States and out of that El Salvadoran prison and all that after the visit and all the publicity around it. And as soon as he got back here, they slapped him with criminal charges relating to his alleged trafficking, which it seems pretty clear he did. So that was sort of their, okay, he's coming back, but it's still not a win for the other side because now he's facing criminal charges. And this one judge who's an Obama appointee, who is also a far leftist, is Judge Zinnes, she's 100% against the administration on this. And while I'm not on her side, I can't be too harsh on this judge because we've been botching it over on the administration side. I mean, it hasn't been good. And then finally, they go into court for the most recent hearing. Now they're trying to just deport him the old-fashioned way, like get out and go to this, I don't know, it's like Uganda, someplace. You're right, it's some African country, can't remember which. And as his lawyers are challenging that, they're challenging it all. And to his lawyers' credit, they said, let us see the order of removal that preceded, like the order of deportation that preceded the withholding of removal. Because before you say, but you can't deport him to El Salvador, you need the order that says you can deport him. And it turns out they don't have it. That lame immigration judge who handled this thing in the first go-round never issued one. So it turns out he's got an order saying you can't deport him to El Salvador, but he doesn't have an order saying you can deport him. So it's beyond effed up, which means, and I've contacted many administration officials saying, aren't you just going to now get a deportation order from any immigration judge? And they all seem to be telegraphing, yes, that's their next move. But Judge Zinnes has said, you're not locking him back up. You're not going to lock him back up. So that's fine. You can do it while he's at large. But they're going to know where he is, and he is going to get dragged before an immigration judge, and he is going to get deported. He's not an American citizen. He has no right to stay here. He's never been given permission to stay here. So he is going away. Soon we will be done with the bad penny, and he will be somebody else's problem. But it's kind of a case study in government incompetence and how crappily our immigration system has been working. You know, it really is. The guy's allegedly beating his wife repeatedly. She's seeking multiple protection orders against him. He's allegedly trafficking people into the United States, all these other illegals from state to state, cross country with no luggage. Oh, I'm sure it was legit. Not to mention his MS-13 gang affiliation, which has been proven to my satisfaction and to the satisfaction of the 2 immigration courts who looked at this initially, just not to the satisfaction of the left, which wants to hang on to every last illegal. They're hoping that they'll become voters and put Kamala Harris in office. So it's very frustrating. It gets almost too frustrating to continue covering, but we will. And I thank you for listening and for your smart question. Okay, moving on. Next topic, radical Islam. And this one is from Joe, who speaks, I think, for a lot of the viewers because many of you wrote in about this. He writes, is the West/Christianity going to be able to contain, stop the spread, or possibly reverse the spread of Islam? Or are we simply doomed? I actually think we are capable of stopping this spread, Joe. We are not Germany. We are not France. We are not London. We are a much, much bigger country. 330 million Americans is much, much harder to dilute. And while we did have open borders for 4 years under Joe Biden, mostly they came from the southern border. Yes, we did get our fair amount of Muslims, but most came from the southern border. And we've got a problem now with, gang affiliated members and also just loafers who are not contributing members of society. And then you got people like from Somalia who just want to mooch off of us while we pay for their lifestyle, while they take their government paychecks, or not paychecks, but checks, and ship part of them off to Al-Shabaab, the terrorist group. It's not great. But there haven't been that many Muslims who came. I mean, if all the Hispanics who came from south of the border were Muslim, I'd be more worried. And the Muslims, let's be honest, they're breeding like rabbits. That's like part of their mission, is to have kids, have tons of kids, have 6, 7, 8 kids, and win by multiplication. So Christians need to start having babies. Sorry, but we do. If I had met Doug when I was younger, we would have had 3 more. But I was kind of an old lady when we got together, and I did what I could in my limited time of childbearing years. So I had Thatcher I had Yates at 38, Yardley at 40, and Thatcher at 42. And thank God they were all healthy. But as you know, God shuts you down around that point. So we got to have more babies. Like, the left has basically stopped having children because of climate change. Okay, how's that working out? They need to have babies too. Although, let's face it, the responsibility is mostly on the right. So if you are a conservative Christian, please have children, more than you can afford. Honestly, like, find a way. They can go to public school if you live in the right community and get a good education without being too indoctrinated, ideally south of the Mason-Dixon. And honestly, college right now, like Elon's always saying, it's not even necessary. You can learn everything you need to know on the internet. Hillsdale College has got so many great podcasts and courses that are for free online. You can educate yourself. I know this sounds like a little flip, but I believe it's true. And more people are providing education for people in a trade where they'll pay for you to get educated in, like, as a plumber or an electrician, and you don't have to pay for that out of pocket. And you can go on to have a great life in a really, like, a well-paying job. Anyway, I just think we need to have more children, and we need to elect people like Trump. We need to keep JD in there after Trump is gone, where we stop the immigration from countries who do not share our values. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm sorry, but no more Muslims. We're done. Our values are not aligned. They're just not. I have Muslim friends. It's nothing against them. Their individual, friendships are fine. They as individuals are fine. But Islam is not consistent with the values of America, of the West. They should stay in countries that don't care about keeping church and state separated. They should stay in countries that don't care about protecting free speech. They should stay in countries that don't care about women's rights. That's where Islam can fester and grow. It's great. I mean, I'm sure if that's like your thing and you don't care about, like, genital mutilation, you might really enjoy living in an Islamic country. If you don't mind living in a life as a woman where you have to keep every inch of your body except for your eyeballs covered, yeah, someplace in the Middle East could be for you. It's not my thing. It's not America's thing. And it's not a thing that we should want or encourage in the West. And it's definitely not a thing we should encourage at our governmental level. I mean, one of the tenets of Islam is to convert, is to take over. They want to get rid of the infidels, the Christians. They do not want to live peacefully side by side with us. They want to convert us. They want either to get rid of us or subvert our religion and our beliefs to theirs. So it's a no on more immigrants from Muslim countries. And on the 5-time call to prayer being played over loudspeakers in places like Minneapolis, that has to stop at Dearborn and Minneapolis. We've already lost 2 major American cities, and we should be done with that. So you need to get involved at your town council. You need to pay attention when ordinances are going through. You need to not be afraid to say, we're not electing an Islamic mayor because that's not consistent with our majority beliefs. And if they call you a bigot, so be it. Remember what Christopher Hitchens said. They're going to make up this term Islamophobia to shut us down. And that's by design. There's no such thing as Islamophobia. You are not only entitled to, quote, fear Islam, I would argue it's your duty as a Christian to stand up and fight against it. It is not consistent with the values of the West or America, and therefore you have no problem. You should have no problem standing up against it while being kind to your Muslim American neighbors. Okay, you can be kind to them and say, I disagree with the tenets of your, quote, religion, and do not believe that people who follow Islam should be in power here in America. So that's that. Forging forward. Kamala Harris, Jeff writes in. Kamala Harris is coming to my area on her book tour. Oh, Jeff. I plan to go to this event. If I get to speak to her, what are the best questions to ask her? I actually have a strong thought on this, Jeff. Okay. I'm glad you wrote this because we just had news this week. She's expanding the book tour. She had such a fun time being loved by people. She wants more of it. So I do have advice for you. You should not go and be like a shit stirrer. Well, you should, but you should do it in a clever way. So you should try to get online, and what you should say is something along the lines of, Madam Vice President, there are so-called establishment Democrats who say the party will not accept, or the country will not accept, a black female president, that it's not ready for it, and that the party, if it doesn't want to lose again, is going to have to go with somebody who's doesn't check as many identity boxes. To those people, what do you say? Or you could say, there are some in the party that believe you've had your chance, you didn't get the ball across the finish line, that we need to let somebody else try because you've already in effect been rejected by the American populace. Are they right? Say that. Say something that will encourage her to defend her ability to do it. That's what I want to hear. Like, let's get to her actual thinking about why they're wrong and she can do it, because you know in her head she thinks she can. But the left's not really going to ask her that. So you need to ask it, Jeff. It's much better than a, why won't you stand up for girls in sports? Forget that. No, don't ask that. Ask something that's truly subversive and clever, because she won't see it coming. She's not that bright, as you know. And we want to encourage her to like actually do this. So like, this is an optimistic, like I believe in you, but there are naysayers. Can you help me understand why they're wrong? Give me the ammo to like argue with them over my holiday dinner. That's the question. Good luck to you, Jeff. If you do it, please email into us about what happened and have whoever is at the book event with you tape it on your iPhone, and we will air it right here on the Megyn Kelly Show. We really will. So do it. Let me know how it goes. Okay. Shifting now to some more personal stuff. Parenting advice. Okay. From Caitlin. She writes, I love how your kids seem to know about politics and social issues already. I've got 3 young kids, ages 6, 4, and 2, and my husband and I always talk about the balance of sheltering them from things versus starting to expose them so they know our opinions and values. Any advice on this? What's the right age? Thank you for that, Caitlin. Yes, your kids are the same distance apart as mine. Mine are now 16, 14, and 12. So same as yours, only with a 1 in front of them. And we definitely put some thought into this. And I would say the main thing we did was when they were little, like your kids' ages, we just talked about values. And church is a great reinforcement of just values. They don't talk politics at church. I think what they talk about at church is all the stuff you should be talking about at home. Like, what do I care about? Being good to other people. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Don't rely on other people to do the hard work. You do it. Do unto others. All that. Don't covet. Don't be an envious person. And then the general stuff that I think we as conservatives believe, which is safe spaces are anything but. It's good to take risks. Failure is fine and actually kind of welcome to your character development. Falling down is part of becoming great. Stand up for what you believe in. Don't be shamed out of saying what you really believe, what you really think. It's fine. And when your kids say something that they really think, even if you disagree with it, hear them out. Like, prove to them that you too can accept different ideas. And like, test them a little. Like, well, why do you think that? What about this? Do a little Socratic method. Like, well, what if this happened? You know, oh, you like socialism? All right, do the old Halloween thing. Well, what would you think if, your brother went out and did no trick-or-treating? He stayed at home watching TV and you did all the trick-or-treating and he wanted you to give him half. Well, how would you feel about that? Like that kind of stuff, those basics. And then when they get a little older, around, say, the presidential elections, you can start introducing a little politics. Like, well, and I really, really, really believe it's important not to make them feel like you are pushing them to one side. Like you are, let's be honest. You want them to become Republicans or independents who vote conservative. But I think it's better for you to shepherd them so that they come to that decision on their own. And you can talk about, like, this is what the Democrats believe and this is what the Republicans believe. And strongman the Democrats' argument. Make your kid a good arguer who thinks through complex issues when they're a little older. Like mine at 12, 14, and 16, this is totally a sweet spot for that. And then would debate it over the kitchen table. And I think that's better than being like, the Democrats suck. We're Republicans. I actually think it's better to like strong man the Democrats' arguments and walk your kids through how they end, like do battle. Because the Democrats won't win if you actually have substantive arguments over their positions. They won't win. Not if you've done all those other things we talked about from 0 to 10 or 12. And plus, you don't want them to rebel against you as teenagers when they start to reject everything you stand for. If they think them being a Republican is super important to you, then they're not going to do it. So careful. Okay, from Carl. We have a son who just turned 2, and we have 2 transgender extended family members. Our opinion on the trans issue is very similar to what you've described, but we love our family and want to treat them with respect. It's very important to us that our son has strong, positive relationships with his extended family. How do we balance all of these competing interests? Thank you for that, Carl. We have 2 trans members of our extended family too. And while we don't see them that often, I understand what you're dealing with here. And my strong advice is that is not the place to litigate our issues on the trans problem. When in the presence of any trans person, unless they're being aggressive and offensive and like in a place they shouldn't be, like a daughter's locker room or sport, then you have to say something. But like, if you see somebody socially at a gathering or a Thanksgiving dinner or whatever it is, I think you should just treat them with kindness and respect. You don't mention it. You're nice. You don't dwell on it. You don't have to spend like the whole party talking to them. And odds are, if it's obvious, which it almost always is when it's male to female, and that's probably what you're talking about, odds are as soon as you get away from the person, your kid's going to be like, Mom, Dad, was that a man? And you should absolutely tell the truth. Yes, that was a man pretending to be a woman. And that is the thing that some very small amount of people do. And it is not real. That person deserves our sympathy because they're dealing with something that's very serious in their head, in their brain. And we don't talk about it in their presence, but it is not possible to change sexes. It is not possible for a man to become a woman. And while in the presence of such a person, we would no more call attention to that than we would to somebody who is on the spectrum or has some sort of birth defect that we don't want to talk about or they don't want to raise. That's not nice. We don't do that. We don't have to accept this person's delusion as real. And we don't accept this person's delusion as real. And I would avoid pronouns at all costs. I would not say to my child, this is Mr. Brown. I wouldn't say that. I'd say, this is, Pat Brown. And I think in that case, I might say, Pat, this is my child. Because normally we make our kids call people by their honorific and then their last name. But I wouldn't. I'd go with first names. It's less rude than using the real pronoun because that would offend the person. So the point is simply you don't have to make the interaction political and you don't have to be hurtful in the presence of such a person. That doesn't mean we cede one ounce or 1 inch of this fight when we're back on the playing field. Okay. So that's my thought. One more from Joel. As a conservative parent, what can I do to make sure that I know as I send off my oldest daughter to college next year that she won't get indoctrinated at college and get radicalized? Oh, Joel, it's scary. I think hopefully you've already done the work because it probably requires longer than 1 year of training, instilling values in her that are not corruptible, that she knows all this is coming, but you really do have to inoculate your kids before they go away. And that's why some dose of wokeism at the high school level is good. I used to think I didn't want a touch of it. And now I actually think it's good. In our schools, there's not a touch of it really, even in our boys' school. Maybe like a 5% touch. But in our daughter's school, there is some. And I can't stand it, but we use it to teach. And we use it to teach even our boys who sit around the dinner table and hear the story. So it's working for the whole family in some ways. So you got to start early. That's number one. Start early. And if it's just a year away and you haven't started early, do it frequently and obsessively. Like you got to start talking to her exactly how they're going to do it, how the indoctrination happens, how when it's a male white author, they're going to bash him if they see him at all, how there will be an obsession with anything relating to identity, how she will get patted on the head for embracing anything touching identity politics, and she will get judged and ostracized if she doesn't say the things they want her to, and how she might even get bad grades and how you don't care. You don't care. You'd rather she get a D for standing up for what is true and real and honest and what we really believe in than get an A by going along with some woke asshole leftist professor who would downgrade a co-ed based on her politics. That person can fuck off. And we might as well start teaching your daughter that nice and early. And I know you're saying, oh, but she wants to get into med school. She's got to have great grades. They're not all going to be like that. She's going to have a bad grade here or there if she does this. But not all the professors are going to be like that. And if your daughter's a squeaky wheel and starts going to the dean of the school saying, here is why this happened to me, and you back her up, you will get results, even at these left-wing colleges. Excuse me, my throat's starting to bother me. You will get results. And even if you don't, there are enough universities out there that will understand why your daughter has perfect A's, but 2 big D's in the humanities classes. Okay? I just think her character is more important than her grades. And you have to start teaching that lesson right now, and she has to live it right now, or she's going to live a life of timidity that will serve no one. Okay, keeping on. By the way, I bought these. I realize it's basically a candy, but they're so good. It's Luden's watermelon flavor. They do help and make my throat feel better when it gets scratchy, thanks to this ongoing voice thing, or vocal cord now. And they're really good. I don't even want to know the sugar content, but every once in a while, they help me. Okay. Faith books. Danielle, you've mentioned reading different faith-based books recently. Which books have you read? Charlie's death has inspired me to dig into my faith even more and to be able to make more intellectual arguments for Christianity. I'm praying for you on your faith journey. God bless you, Danielle. Thank you. I will pray for you too. A lot. I've read a lot over the past couple of months. I actually wrote them down because I wasn't sure I'd remember them all. I went on my phone. I listened to them. I listen to the books because I read so much news. I try to save my eyes. So many of these I got from you guys. Thank you so much. And I'm taking more suggestions. Danielle and I could both use them. And I'll read them on the air when I get them in an update. But here are some. The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel. By far the best. It was great. So many of you recommended it, and it was a game changer. He sold something like 15 million copies of this thing, and when you read it, he reads it himself, Lee Strobel. Really great, and you see why. Related, The Case for a Creator. He's got a whole Case for series, and I also really enjoyed that. I loved Frank Turek's I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. Loved. I love him. I've been listening to his podcast too. He's brilliant. He was Charlie's teacher. And when you spend 2 minutes with Frank, you see why. But definitely recommend I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. It's a clever title, and he makes the point very effectively. Let's see. On Guard, Defending Your Faith with Reason and Precision by William Lane Craig. That one's much more technocratic. He spends a lot of time on things like the universe. You really got to sort of pay attention to that one. It might be better, actually, frankly, to read it with your eyes instead of listening to that one in the audio. But I enjoyed it, and it led me down a whole pathway on YouTube of watching him debate atheists, which was super fun. I really recommend that because he's excellent at it. He debated Christopher Hitchens and so many others. Really fun. William Lane Craig, and he's featured in the Lee Strobel book too. The Shack by William Young. That was recommended by you guys. Really enjoyed. Imagine the God of Heaven. Near-Death Experiences by John Burke. Enjoyed that thoroughly. I love anything with near-death experiences. You know, whatever, you die, but you don't really die. You come back. Really good. Evidence That Demands a Verdict. Life-Changing Truth for a Skeptical World by Josh McDowell. Really enjoyed that too. Who Moved the Stone by Frank Morrison. Who did move the stone? That's a good question. I enjoyed that too, and that was recommended in the Frank Turek book. I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. So those are just a few. I've been into C.S. Lewis as well, and it's given me a lot to think about. Now on my to-do list, I may do this over the break. I want to watch The Chosen. I was going to watch it, and then I realized there's multiple seasons, so I didn't have the time. I never have the time when I'm on the air. Honestly, I just consume so much news. For you guys, honestly, I do it for you. So you don't have to do it. So I can condense it for you into like what's really salient, what do you need to know? It's a calling. You know what I mean? It's not just a job, it's a calling. Like I feel called to understand the day's news really thoroughly and completely so that I can help you understand it. And the only way you can really help somebody understand it is if you know it yourself forward and backward. But the volume is so large that my team and I consume that it doesn't leave a ton of time for other things. So I listen to my audiobooks when I'm all done with the news at the end of the day, and I don't have a lot of time to watch anything. Like every once in a while, Doug and I will take up a series, like watch a little before we go to bed, sneak in an hour here or there, but it's a challenge. Anyway, The Chosen, is on my list. Then someone asked, okay, Chad, what music would your listeners be surprised to find on your Spotify or Apple Music playlist? I actually went to my Pandora. I don't know if you'd be surprised. It's a lot of 80s, I'm not going to lie. You know, they say you love the decade of music that you like went to high school for, and that would be, yeah, I was there at a great time in the 80s, the late 80s. Great time for music, early 90s too. So here are a couple of like my most played. Men at Work, The Cars, Morrissey, I love The Cure, Talking Heads, Green Day, love Kid Rock, love John Rich. Then there's a whole other strain, so maybe this would surprise you. I love Frank Sinatra. I do. I love the Frank Sinatra channel on SiriusXM, channel 70. One below the holiday channel, traditional holiday music, 71, which I listen to all the time this year. But I love Frank Sinatra, like mixes. Like if you just take any Frank song and plug it into Pandora, Spotify, Sonos, anything, what you get, you know, like you get the Dean Martin, you get the Ella Fitzgerald. I love Billie Holiday. I play Billie Holiday almost every morning. I love just that sort of genre of like yesteryear, the crooner music and a little bit before the crooner with the Billie Holiday stuff. It's just so good. I love the way it makes me feel. It's so much better than like light jazz, which I don't love. That puts me to sleep. This stuff like crooner music is kind of upbeat. You can put it on at any time. Like that's usually what we have on at dinner in the background, even if it's just the five of us with our kids. So I don't know if that surprises you, but I do love it. And there's nothing better than John Denver, though it always makes me cry. Always makes me cry. We went out to Montana in the summer and we climbed a mountain. We were camping and we climbed a mountain in the daytime. And you know that you're in the middle of the Rockies. We were looking out at God's green earth and the Rocky Mountains, my God. And we played John Denver, Rocky Mountain High. Then we played a bunch of John Denver songs. And it was honestly one of the most spiritual experiences I have ever had in my life. My kids, my husband and I, all like truly like arms out, listening to the music, looking at God's green earth and sky and creations all around us. And I don't know, I'm not sure you can get closer to God than that. But he does bring a tear to my eye. I think it's not just me. Love everything by him. Love Annie's song. Love the song Today. That's what my dad used to play to us on his guitar. It's so beautiful. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine. Can't sing now. I'll taste your strawberries. I'll drink your sweet wine. A million tomorrows may all wash away ere I forget all the joy that is mine today. I love it. I'll be a dandy and I'll be a rover. You'll know who I am. I can't get down here by the songs that I sing. Okay, sorry. I digress, but my dad used to sing that song to us all the time. And I played on the guitar now for my family and myself. And I think of him. You know, on Monday, we're taping this on December 17th, a Wednesday. On Monday, the 15th, it was 40 years since my dad died. 40. Can't believe it. 1985. And it was 10 days before Christmas. It was a total shock. My dad was only 45 years old. He was fine 1 second. And he was dead of a heart attack in our house by the twinkly lights of the tree the next. Those experiences change you. And one word to all of the parents who have had this happen in their families, many of whom write to me and say, well, what can I tell my kids? Or what do I need to know about my kids who are now dealing with the loss of a parent or a sibling? And I say the same thing, which is it's awful. And there's just no two ways about that. But I do believe one real gift that comes with losing someone early is you live your life differently. You don't waste time. You make still some crappy decisions. It doesn't immunize you against that, but you realize them faster. You correct them faster. You know you could go at any moment. You know it. Everyone knows it, but you know it. You know it on a gut cellular level. And you act differently. as a result. In the same way, somebody who has terminal cancer makes different decisions in the time they have left because they know it's limited and they will make different choices. You kind of have that from the get-go because death is not this ephemeral thing that, is just theoretical to you. You see it. You really believe it. You do worry about it. And that's not such a bad thing. That's not such a bad thing. So, God rest my dad. He was a good man. I only had him for 15 years. But boy, he was a great father, and I was so lucky. So many people don't get that at all. Or they have their dads their whole lives, and they're crappy, or they ignored them, or they were angry dads, or alcoholic dads, or absentee dads. We see that a lot. My dad was super fun. He was present. He used to sit down on the floor after he'd come home from teaching. He was a college professor. He played jacks with us. He never spoke down to us. He always kept his vocabulary elevated. He never just said, like, you're super smart. He never told me that. He just treated me like I was. He just gave me, like, real tasks to complete that others would have thought would be beyond the capacity of a 10 or a 12-year-old. And that's what really leads to self-confidence. It wasn't even a discussion. He just gave it to me and knew I could do it and expected something more of me. That helps. People ask sometimes, like, you seem to have a natural confidence. Stuff like that helps. And also, no false praise. None. Do not false praise your children. They know it. They know it. So you're just undermining your trust relationship with them, and you're undermining their ability to be confident, successful humans. Stop giving them false praise. Only praise the things that are real. Presumably, there will be many things about your child that are real that you can praise truthfully. Check the other BS. I've told you many of these times. My parents never told me I was special. Truly, they were like, They were like, she's going to be with us for a long time. I was not an attractive child. Okay, keeping going. I think I have your Strudwick's soulmate, writes Cody. Her name is Nala. I like that. And she's a total mess. Word. I feel you, Cody. I was curious where you got the names for your dogs. Well, Thunder we stole from Thatcher, our youngest, who said he was going to grow up and he was going to have 2 sons and he was going to name them Thunder and Lightning. Thunder and Lightning Brunt. And then we got Thunder shortly after that and we liked it and we stole it. Then when we had like I birthed Strudwick, we didn't know what to name him. But my husband had a family member named Strudwick. And his name was Strud Nash. They used to call him the Carolina Flash because he played football for Carolina. I guess he was pretty good. And it was such a good name. It needed to be recycled. And we weren't going to use it on a kid. So we used it on a dog. And we call him Strud most of the time. But sometimes I call him Strudwick too. It's just I love those like fun, unique names. Yeah, for my children too. They have unique names. But Strudwick was a bridge too far even for me on a child. But it's fun to call my big boy. He's a good boy now. He is. He still does a bunch of naughty stuff. But I am in love with that dog. He is so sweet. He's just a big galoot. And he's getting better. He's still naughty, but not as naughty. So that's progress. Maybe the same will happen for your Nala. If you are wondering how you're going to survive the holiday season without gaining 10 pounds, or if you're just sick of feeling sluggish every winter, listen up. Consider Veracity. Veracity says it provides an all-natural, drug-free way to fire up your metabolism, crush cravings, regain your mental focus, and finally feel like yourself again. You've heard the GLP-1 hype, but if needles and side effects worry you, meet Metabolism Ignite, the #1 doctor-recommended GLP-1 booster and natural alternative. They say it's packed with healthy ingredients like hibiscus, green coffee bean, and magnesium. And they also say it's safe if you are already on a GLP-1 or breastfeeding. Veracity says it provides real self-care that tackles the root cause of why our metabolism fails us. So consider Veracity this holiday season. Head to veracityselfcare.com. Use the code MK for up to 45% off your order. Okay, don't forget that code MK when you check out for up to 45% off. Once again, that's veracityselfcare.com, code MK. Check it out. Last but not least, a couple of fashion and beauty questions. Wendy, you are so stylish. Can you please tell me where you buy your outfits from? Wendy, I'm going to give it to you straight. I have a stylist. Her name is Molly, and she does most of the work for me. I'm not very stylish, to be honest with you. I just do what Molly tells me. So I pay her, a fee, and she does the shopping. And I realize that's a luxury, but you can get this yourself. We advertise a lot of these companies that will help you do it too. And I do think it's worth your while, because when you're pulled together fashion-wise, you feel better about yourself, you project better, you project more confident, and you can do it for any budget. On my budget, I will say one of my favorite designers is Victoria Beckham. I love her clothing. She makes stuff, it's almost like it's just for me. It's very rare that I don't like a Victoria Beckham offering. Just think her dresses are so beautiful. Her style is impeccable. And I admire her too. But I don't always shop at that level. I'll go down to the Aritzia and get a couple of cute tops for the air. I'm constantly wearing Aloe baggy pants. I love those. They feel so good. Sometimes I still wear my Lululemon leggings, but I don't know. I've been more into the aloe pants. So that's the long and the short of it. Gail writes in, I listen to you daily. You often mention that you use red light on your face. Which red light mask do you use? Oh, Gail, I do not use a red light mask. It's a machine. It's a machine that the facialist I go to recommended. And it wasn't cheap, but you can do it with just a red light mask. So you don't have to go big. So mine is just like a machine where you bring the face, it's like a big rectangle in front of your face, and you sit there and you just put on the setting for 10 minutes. But you can do it with a mask, and I think they all work well. So check it out, because it definitely has evened out my skin tone in a very nice way. Okay, Sherry, Sherry. I love your eye makeup. What eyeshadows do you use? Sherry, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. I'm going to give away one of my best beauty secrets, because you asked. About 2 years ago, I stumbled upon a certain palette, and I fell in love with this eyeshadow palette. And now I use it as my eyeshadow and as my eyeliner, and I can't get enough of it. I had Abby bring it over. It is by Urban Decay, and it is Naked 3. Naked, I say. Naked. And I'll show you what I love about this, okay? All right. I'm opening it up for the listening audience. You can see the mirror is kind of dirty with all the colors. You can kind of see the ones that I use more often than the others. But over here, there we go, trying to do the reverse imaging, are the lighter pinks. And that's a very nice sort of base for your lid. And then I love, let's see, hold on, I want to get it right. These over here, these are a little bit more brown. I will either put those on the crease, or sometimes I'll put them right on the lid too, on the lower lid, not the upper, because they have a little sparkle. And I'm telling you, I've loved the way my eyes have looked since I started using this. And then this dark one over here on the end, I'll use that as an eyeliner. Upper, not usually lower, because it's a little harsh on the lower. I mean, for air, I use harsher stuff. If I were just going out, I would just use this brown one here on the lower and upper. But I love this palette. You can get it at Sephora. You can just Google it online. The Naked 3 Urban Decay. I am not being paid to say this. If I ever do get paid for an endorsement, I will tell you. If I'm not telling you that I'm getting paid, it means I'm not. And then last but not least, Leslie writes in, I heard you mention using a sunless tanner. What product do you use to get such a natural look? Okay, Leslie, I've tried them all. I mean, I am as pasty as they come. So you have to have some options when you are me. And I love the Luxe Tan. It's the spray. It's hold on. It's called Water. I'm going to look it up right now on my Amazon. Because I think it's WATR. Going to my buy again. Hold on. Stand by. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. Come on. WAT. Okay, self-tanner. And I just want to make sure I get it exactly right for you. Sarah, my hairstylist, who is on a mission to make us all hotter than we are, turned me on to this. Yes, it's the proper spelling of water. The Water. The Water Tan Luxe. TAN-LUXE. The Water, it's called. And it looks clear. It's got just like a normal size bottle. It's got a silver top. And you can get it in the 6.76 fluid ounces. I get the light medium. And you put that on. By the way, you can get one that it's pink and it operates in like 30 minutes or 2 hours, something like that. That does work. That one smells bad. So you're going to smell bad for like an hour or two. And then you wash it off. But if you're in a hurry, it's helpful to have. But I love this Tan Luxe because that you can put on. I love the way that one smells. Usually the self-tanner, by the time the day is done, you're like, I'm disgusting. This one, you tell me. Maybe it's just the way it interacts with my body chemistry. But I enjoy the smell. Like I look forward to it as it like sort of matures as the day goes on, which is so rare in a self-tanner. And it gives you such a nice natural look. In fact, it was a very funny story for you. Over the tour, I was on the road and with Abby and Sarah. Sarah's like, she's so great. She's made us all feel better about ourselves. And she's just got this natural ability to elevate your look. And she's like, you need a self-tan. I'm like, oh, do I? She's like, yeah, you do. I'm like, I didn't bring it. She's like, I'll meet you in your hotel room. So she came over and I'm telling you, she was like one of these like Russian spa ladies doing the rub down with the mitts on her hands. It was aggressive, but she got her done. And a couple hours later, I look great. It worked like a charm. You do have to have somebody do your back. Don't do your back by yourself. Sometimes I'll make Doug do it at home. Then he has to wash his hands, but it's great. I love that product. And there is no self-tanning product I've used that I like as much as that one. Okay. So there was a lot covered: Islam, immigration, Kamala, and self-tan, and an intimate moment between Sarah and yours truly. No, I'm happily married to Doug. I have not gone lesbo, but I do think the world of Sarah and appreciate her tanning mitts, which made me look better than I deserved to on the tour. I love all of you too. I love your questions. I love your loyalty. I love that you spend whatever amount of time you can give me on these days, whether it's consuming the show on Insta, on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, whatever, however you take it in. I'm grateful. We couldn't do it without you. And I know you're out there, and I loved meeting so many of you on the tour. So God bless you all. I hope your holidays were truly magical. And if they weren't, let's just work on making 2026 truly magical. Pick your word, pick your one word for this year. And like, let's work for it. I'll tell you the one that I'm using this year. My word was wisdom this year, is wisdom. I'm really praying for it. I just think like the conservative movement is fracturing, and I really hope I get the wisdom to know how to handle it. I don't always make the best decisions, but I always do the best I can. And I just think some people are depending on me to make good decisions, and I would like to come through. I would like to have the wisdom to know exactly how to handle it and to try to keep the coalition together as best I can. That's my goal. I'm inspired by Charlie Kirk, who saw the party changing in certain ways and would always try to make room for the people who were changing within it, so that they understood it was a big tent and they didn't have to leave if they thought differently on this issue or that. That really has been one of my chief goals over the past 6 months and 3 months especially. And it's tougher than it looks. We could use Charlie's example, of course, on that and many things. So I hope you say a prayer for me in my quest, as I will be praying for all of you. And I do every Sunday. So God bless, and I will see you back on the air as soon as break is over. If my math is correct on when we're airing this, I will see you on Monday, live. Lots of love. I've been talking a lot about Riverbend Ranch because I love their steaks. Well, this holiday season, express your love with a very special gift of premium steaks from Riverbend Ranch. They have spectacular beef bundles that are wonderful gifts to friends and family. Their prime rib roast and holiday bundles are only available while supplies last, and they're going fast. For the last 35 years, Riverbend Ranch has been creating an elite Angus herd by using ultrasound technology to identify genetically superior cattle with a focus on flavor and tenderness. All Riverbend Ranch cattle are born and raised in the USA. They never use growth hormones or antibiotics, and the beef is processed right at the ranch in their award-winning USDA-inspected processing facility. Avoid the costly middlemen because the beef is sent directly from Riverbend Ranch to your home. This is not your average Black Angus beef. Order from riverbendranch.com. Use the promo code Megyn for $20 off your first order, and let me know what you think. That's riverbendranch.com, promo code Megyn.